Quote, like a piece of straw in a consuming flame, will be destroyed the life of one who does not guard against faults. Meaning of the quote. This quote uses a vivid metaphor to illustrate how fragile a person's life or inner world can become when they neglect their personal flaws. Just like dry straw is instantly devoured by fire, a person who fails to address their faults, be it pride, anger, dishonesty, laziness, or ego, becomes vulnerable to destruction. The flame represents the consequences of one's actions or the destructive force of inner negativity, while the straw represents the fragile, unprotected self. This is a warning, but also a call to mindfulness and personal responsibility. Spiritual perspective. From a universal spiritual lens, free from the names of any specific tradition, this quote highlights a core truth found in many wisdom paths: the importance of inner vigilance and self-purification. Every human carries within them both the seeds of light and darkness. Faults like envy, selfishness, pride, and indifference are not just moral errors, they are energetic blockages that dim the soul's clarity. If these negative tendencies are not observed and transformed, they grow in power and influence. Eventually, they burn away the peace, joy, and freedom of the inner being. Spiritually, ignoring your faults is like walking through a dense forest with a torch, not noticing the dry leaves around you. Eventually, you'll set fire to your own path. In a spiritual life, the flame of awareness acts as both a protector and purifier. When you observe your faults without judgment and work through them, the same fire that could destroy becomes a fire that transforms and refines. Scientific perspective. Scientifically, the quote aligns with well-studied truths about human behavior, mental health, and emotional regulation. 1. Neuroscience and habits. The brain is plastic, it rewires itself based on repeated behavior. If negative habits or emotional patterns go unchallenged, they become default modes of thinking and acting. For example, if a person constantly reacts with anger but never reflects on it, they strengthen the neural circuits of aggression. Over time, it becomes harder to break that pattern. 2. Psychology. Psychological theories like Freud's shadow self or Jung's concept of individuation stress the importance of recognizing the unconscious parts of the self, often hidden flaws or unresolved traumas. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." 3. Health impact. Chronic emotional stress caused by unresolved inner conflicts or negative behavior patterns can lead to a wide range of physical health issues: high blood pressure, sleep disorders, digestive problems, and even reduced immunity. Just like straw feeding fire, unchecked emotional or behavioral faults fuel a cascade of stress-related illnesses. In short, science supports the idea that neglecting self-awareness leads to self-destruction, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Let's bring this wisdom to life through a short story. The silent flame. In a quiet village, there lived a blacksmith named Arun. Known for his strength and skill, he was respected by all. But he had one weakness: his temper. When things didn't go his way, he would lash out in rage, damaging tools, relationships, and his own peace. An old friend once warned him, "Your temper is like a fire in dry grass. It may feel powerful, but it burns what you love." Arun laughed it off. "It's just who I am." Years passed. One day, his apprentice made a small mistake. In fury, Arun shouted, threw tools, and fired the boy. Word spread. Clients stopped coming. His once busy forge became silent. One morning, alone and bitter, Arun found a withered straw hat hanging near the fire. It caught flame in seconds. Watching it disappear, he whispered, "So was I. From that day, he began to work not on iron, but on himself. Slowly, he built again, this time with awareness. The forge returned to life. But now, it was his heart that had truly been reshaped. How this applies to our everyday life, this quote is timeless in its relevance. In the rush of modern life, it's easy to ignore our internal warning signs. But like straw, we are all vulnerable if we're not mindful. Here's how this idea applies practically. 1. In relationships, small flaws, like impatience, passive aggression, or dishonesty, if unchecked, can burn down trust and intimacy. A mindful person acknowledges when they're wrong, listens, and works to grow. This nurtures deeper connection. 2. At work, faults like procrastination, arrogance, or poor communication may seem minor at first but can limit your career growth. Self-discipline and emotional intelligence are more valued than raw talent alone. 3. In health, unchecked habits like overeating, smoking, ignoring exercise, or suppressing emotions eventually lead to burnout or illness. Daily mindfulness and small changes prevent long-term damage. 4. In personal growth, ignoring your own faults is like driving a car without checking the brakes. Sooner or later, you crash. Real strength is not in hiding flaws, but in being humble enough to face them. The quote reminds us that self-awareness is protection, and that growth begins when we stop running from our shadows and start integrating them. Just as a spark can either ignite destruction or fuel a lamp, the energy of our faults, when recognized, can be transformed into wisdom. Guarding against faults is not about perfection. It's about direction. Thank you for joining this exploration of wisdom. If this message resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe for more insights into timeless truths. Remember, every great journey begins with a single step, and every great idea begins with a strong foundation. See you in the next episode.